Hello fellow gamers, Queen here. I'd like to update you all on my FPS game. I'll be honest, I've been getting a bit burned out from this project. Since doing the conversion to Godot 4, I've ran into a few hiccups, and I also just don't have a whole ton of time to work on this project, sadly. I work a lot of hours. Before I get into that though, I'd like to explain the idea behind this game and how it's like a dream game, I guess. Dream game dev video, or whatever. You may have seen from the short videos, this game is going to be similar to Halo, at least the first 3 games, plus Reach. I've essentially built the player movement code around the acceleration, deceleration, friction, air friction, gravity, slope, jumping, etc., and crouching properties of Halo 3. In my opinion, the player movement of those first 3 Halo games is the most satisfying of all FPS games. It's easy to understand, it's got a high skill ceiling once you understand the core movement. You essentially feel like an office chair with a gun. I didn't make that up, someone else said that in some video that I don't remember years ago, but yeah, office chair with a gun or walking tank or whatever. You're free to move in all directions at the same speed while retaining weapon accuracy, and then that's combined with a lack of sprint, and all players are capable of firing their weapons at all times. The philosophy of use behind Halo's movement allows for incredibly intense fire and maneuver tactics and gunfights. It's smooth and simple, yet amazingly complex in the amount of gameplay variety that can emerge. I strongly recommend the YouTuber Shredded Nerds series on this topic. I guess I'll put a link in the description for that. In my game, yeah, the movement's going to be nearly identical to Halo 3's with some slight changes. There will be some movement penalties depending on if you're zoomed in or not. I haven't fully decided on whether heavier weapons are going to have an impact on your movement. That's something I'm gonna have to test. But essentially, you've got your movement speed and then your ADS speed, which the ADS speed will be the same as the crouch speed. And that will be half of the regular movement speed. So if the movement speed is 6, the movement speed while aiming down the sight or crouching will be 3. Games derived from the Call of Duty and Battlefield lineage have this common feature of aiming down the sights for an accuracy increase at the cost of movement speed. Most gamers don't think about this while they do it, they just automatically go from sprint to aiming down the sight whenever they see an enemy at anything less than completely point-blank range. This is mentioned in that Shredded Nerd video series, as I referred to earlier. It turns FPS games into run or gun games instead of run and gun games. You can only fire or maneuver instead of both. I'm not trying to totally knock this philosophy because it does make sense that a marksman is more accurate when moving slower. My question is, why is this particularly important to gameplay? So, we'll see how that goes. I'd like to discuss the different elements of tactical shooters, arena shooters, and arcade shooters. My game will be taking elements from each of these genres, and I want to ensure they are as balanced as possible. When you think of an arena shooter, you probably think of something like Quake, Unreal Tournament, or Doom. They have fast-paced movement. All the weapons and power-ups have to be found on the map. Usually you can carry all the weapons at once and cycle through them on a wheel or by pressing the number keys or something. There's also a lot of bee-hopping or some other janky movement mechanic that only boomers seem to fully understand. The main elements I'd like to adopt from this genre are power-ups and weapons being placed around the map for players to pick up, and rewarding players for their knowledge of the maps. I'm not a huge fan of this ADD-fueled Sonic the Hedgehog movement shooter craze that has been creeping back into the FPS world over the last 10 or so years. Carrying every gun at once is also not what I'm going for, so I won't be using that either. Tactical shooters are probably what I will borrow the most from. Most tactical shooters have a fairly slow player movement speed as well as lower movement acceleration. These two factors mean you as a player must put far more thought into positioning and strategy and fully commit to your movements instead of just zipping around every frame and spinning and jumping and 360 no scoping and shit like that. Tactical shooters typically only allow you to carry 2 weapons, which was, again, another thing brought in mainly by the Halo franchise way back in the day. This further reinforces the idea of strategy. You gotta pick the correct weapon for the battle, or pick your battles based on the weapon you're carrying, and really think about things a lot more. Tactical shooters also often let players carry specific pieces of non-lethal items, non-weapon items, that afford them some kind of tactical advantage on the battlefield, such as binoculars, smoke grenade, ammo boxes, barriers, bunkers, respawn points, etc. Time to kill, or TTK, is also usually very low in a tactical shooter game and has the effect of allowing a single player to take out many enemies very quickly if they are well positioned and playing smart. Conversely, you're punished for having bad aim, bad reaction time, and poor positioning and strategy. My game will probably have a TTK speed that isn't quite as punishing as most tactical shooters or milsim games, but will similarly reward smart players while discouraging bad positioning. I'd like to allow players to have a slight chance of reacting to being shot before they're dead, unless it's a headshot, of course, in which case, get good scrub. I will be implementing a 2-weapon system, as well as slower movement and acceleration and equipment usage and weapon changing speeds and things like that, where you really gotta commit to your decision. Finally, arcade shooters. These are the more casual, friendly games that focus on making things fun and rewarding for the player. Call of Duty, ever since Call of Duty 4 in 2007, has pretty much fit into this genre. The easy-to-understand HUD, points coming up on the screen when you get a kill or a kill streak, or ranking up, leveling weapons, unlocking attachments, in-game cosmetics, etc., etc. As far as gameplay goes, arcade shooters tend to get you in and out of the action quickly. You spawn, you die, you respawn in a few seconds, and the whole multiplayer session usually lasts between 5 and 15 minutes. Instant gratification is a concept strongly exploited by this genre, and it's very addictive because of it. I would like to ensure most of my game sessions last about 10 minutes. The players have some kind of progression to grind for, and enough gratification to make the moment-to-moment gameplay rewarding. Above all, I wish to promote intelligent positioning, strategy, and teamwork into this game. To this end, all players will spawn with the precision rifle without any other variables. The subsequent gunfight will determine the superior fighter. For this reason, I do not think custom loadouts would be appropriate for this game, unless there's a custom game mode made specifically for it. But there will be a plethora of available weapons on each team's base on the battlefield and from recently defeated foes. Guerrilla warfare will be the most viable strategy to turn the tide of battle. Strategically, taking supplies from the enemy will strengthen your posture while simultaneously weakening his. This is another space where Halo's DNA will become very evident. High-level Halo players understand that successfully taking power weapons requires taking and defending territory on which it spawns. Map control is just as important to victory as gunfighting skills, and often more important. My idea for equipment usage will be 2-tiered: deployable equipment and continuous use equipment. The deployable equipment will function like the stuff from Halo 3, where it is a neutral wildcard item that can be exploited by friend or foe. Things like barriers, bubble shields, regenerators, power drains, etc. Those can all be used by either team. You throw down a bubble shield and you get killed, and the enemy player gets into the bubble shield and he's protected for the moment. The continuous use equipment will benefit only the player using it, and it will be of a deceptive, psychological, and/or intelligence-gathering nature. Things like radar, binoculars, camouflage, IFF targeting systems, jammers, AI warning systems when you're targeted by an enemy, etc. So yeah, I do apologize for it being so slow, but thank you for watching, and I do hope to update more frequently. Please like, comment, subscribe. Credit to Shredded Nerd and White Bat Audio.